What's up, guys? This is Bill from Allegheny Paranormal Investigations, and when we're out in public, we get asked a lot of questions, so tonight we're here to answer some of the most frequently asked questions.
My first paranormal experience would have been right after my dad passed away. I was actually staying at Bill's house, and in the middle of the night, I woke up, the TV was no longer on, and there was the darkest, blackest mass. And I didn't know what it was. I didn't know, if it was a figment of my imagination because my dad just passed and I was like just a little bit disoriented and depressed and I didn't really have any direction mentally, or if it was something actually paranormal. And that to me was surreal.
How old were you?
So back then, I would have been 21.
Damn, you never told me that. That happened in my own house. I think for mine was when we were doing a little flashlight session in my grandmother's house after she had passed away. You were there, and this is before we busted out as a group, and we asked a question, and the flashlight was actually responding. So then we get home, we didn't see anything on the phone. My sister noticed a apparition coming out of the bathroom, walking up, and it turned sideways, and it dissipated.
Now that apparition, if I'm not mistaken, was it not standing in a sense behind me in that back room?
Right, it was coming up behind you and then it turned sideways and went away. Like gone.
I was 11 and it was shortly after my grandfather had passed, maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks. I was sound asleep in bed. I woke up for some odd reason and my grandfather was standing there and he was talking to me, and I put the covers over my head and I pulled them off and I looked at him and I told him he was scaring me, and I put the covers back over my head and I took the covers back off and he was gone, and I jumped out of bed and ran into my cousin's room.
So that's crazy that all three of us, for our first experience with the paranormal, had to do with a relative.
Actually, yeah, and to kind of go back a little bit what you were just saying, to be 11 years old, I mean, what child really knows what they're really looking at? So when you're seeing something and you know that this person actually was passed away and deceased, but you're seeing it mentally, what does that do to a child like that?
I was scared. I mean, when you're that young, you don't really know too much about the paranormal world, so it was just a terrifying experience that I just kind of brushed under the rug. And then when you had asked me actually to join the group, both of you had asked me to join the group, I mean, I was more than excited. It was probably the most exciting thing ever because I vividly recall being 11 years old and seeing my grandfather, who I know died. I mean, I saw him in the casket. I watched them put him in the ground, and he was standing there having a conversation with me in the middle of the night. So it's, I mean, looking back on it, it's kind of cool.
No doubt.
So what made me want to become a paranormal investigator was the fact of things that I've experienced and things that I've actually seen. I didn't really know what I was seeing. And then all of a sudden Ghost Hunters comes out and I'm watching them see similar things or feel similar things that I felt. So for me, it was super intriguing to put a little scientific and validation to what I was experiencing, what I thought I was seeing. That's what really intrigued me to go down this path.
I'm kind of in the same boat. So by the time I was 11, all of my parents, all of my grandparents, they were all deceased. I had seen my grandfather when I was 11. I had premonitions of my parents. I knew my parents were deceased before aunts and uncles told me.
So, not to cut you off, like how was that experience for you?
It was actually kind of interesting because the way I knew, it was a dream. And I had this continuous dream from the time I was 6 when my mom passed away to the time I was 11 when my grandfather and then my grandmother on my dad's side passed away. So I had a dream that, as crazy as it sounds, me, my sister, and my brother, we were all sitting on a bed with my parents, with my grandparents. and there was a ghost, like typical kid ghost, you know, like sheet over the head, like.
So you're talking like Casper style here.
Kinda, but it had a knife. So as each one died, passed away, got sick, got ill, got old, whatever it may be, the ghost was stabbing them. And then I would wake up and my aunt would go to tell me and I would go, I know, I already know. So when you would ask me, when both of you had asked me, I was already intrigued by it. I had been living it my whole life. And as you said, ghost hunters, all the different paranormal shows that are out there, it really intrigues me about the scientific aspect of it. I wanted to know, is it real? Is there scientific proof of it? So when you guys asked me, I had to jump on. There was no was not an answer.
Just like me, you, Nicole, when Ghost Hunters come out, that was probably the groundbreaker of who we became, because that's what we wanted to do. Losing loved ones, I wanted to know if there was an afterlife where your soul goes.
Sure.
Are you going to see those people again? And so now we're trying to scientifically prove what is going on after you pass.
To expand a little bit on the ghost hunters, you see what they're doing and put in perspective what we're doing, it puts a little bit more validation.
And now the technology has evolved where equipment has become better to try to prove what's going on. Bill Chappell manufactures a lot of that equipment, and thank God for his knowledge that he's able to do that.
Yeah, that's another big thing. You know, there's a lot of things that us as paranormal investigators and scientists can debunk. It's our responsibility to take our knowledge plus the equipment that somebody else has created and scientifically prove without a doubt that there is actual paranormal.
For me, I like the insane asylums, the mental hospitals, because of the activity is so high, and we've had a lot of personal experiences.
Yeah, actually, with those places, there is typically a lot of activity. The history behind them, though, is super fascinating. You know, we went to Hillview, and that in itself was an abundance of history that we gained. And when you walk into those abandoned places, that is like you're walking in a time capsule, and you're just it's without them being there, you're just experiencing. I have goosebumps. Like, you're just experiencing.
The energy level at these places is so high. Remember the door that slammed in our faces? We were going down the hallway.
Oh yeah,
They were push bar double doors. It was locked open or clicked open, and it closed right in front of us. That was hardcore. Like, almost made me crap my pants.
I didn't really know how to explain that. And we tried to debunk, like, you know, wind or anything that could have caused it. And the doors weigh at least 25, 30 pounds.
It was in the middle of a hallway. There was no wind anywhere.
Well, you know, you try to go through like your series of what you could debunk this by.
To see if they had it mechanically operated to do something, but nope, we checked it out. Straight legit. It was very frightening too.
If that's not paranormal, I don't know what really is then. What's going to make a door shut like that weighs 25, 30 pounds? Like, for me, though, honestly, and as much as I agree with that, like, and I love those places we go to, for me, it's more of a residential. It hits from home. I, as well as all of us, beyond proving the scientific proof of the paranormal afterlife, it's also helping. It's also bringing clarity to families, as in we all have. I have a wife, a son, he has a family, Nicole has a family. So when somebody reaches out to you and they're dealing with something that they just don't know, and half the times they can't even see, the impactfulness on that and going in and helping them is, you can't ask for any better, in my opinion. So for me, the in-depth of a residential is my favorite kind of place, because it's never the same.
Right.
So mine's not really a specific location. Mine, it more has to do with the spirits themselves. The spirits themselves, as in, I enjoy interacting with children.
Makes sense.
I had a traumatic childhood, if you want to call it that. I don't classify it as a traumatic childhood. I'm alive, I'm well, I'm functioning. I have a family myself, I have kids. I have always enjoyed interactions with alive children, let alone dead children. So I went to school for education, special education. It kind of goes into both of yours though. Mm-hmm. You know, if there's a child haunting another child, I want to know. I want to interact with that kid. Why are you stuck here? How can I help you cross over to a better place?
And you've had from past history the ability to talk to child spirits. For instance, when we were at Fairfield, you had the ability, which nobody else actually had, the ability to communicate or capture an EVP with the little girl spirit, Susie. You were able to do that. That's insane. So you have a gift.
And it wasn't once or twice. It was, I mean, we got, how many yeses did we get? 2, 3, somewhere in there.
Yeah,
so I enjoy communicating with the children. It's, like I said, I have a special needs child. I had a lot of issues as a child. I want to help the children who are trying to pass over and are stuck. Something had to have happened to them, and the world needs to know what and why.
My favorite piece of equipment is the SLS, which is called Structured Light Sensor Camera. What that does, it shoots out a laser beam, but it feeds it back to a program where the program will allow it to connect the dots to a stick figure of something that we cannot see, what we believe could be an apparition.
Now, the thing that he's saying about the SLS, which is super unique and apparition, you'll actually see on certain SLSs, it will say an anomaly. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing, but it's unique because it can manipulate holes or something, so you can debunk it right then and there. But if there is something that is actually being picked up on that camera and there's nothing around, it's very hard to debunk something of that nature.
My favorite piece of equipment is the Phasm box. So the Phasm box is like a spirit box. It takes out the white noise, which is my favorite part. I don't like the white noise. I can hear more clearly. I can distinguish what is being said. Mm-hmm. You kind of hear different voices, but I don't like the white noise.
It is irritating.
What about Lorraine Warren?
It said horrible in between you talking.
And another thing too, to elaborate a little bit on the Phasma, is it sweeps through frequencies. Mm-hmm. So as she was just explaining about the white noise, we have gone on hundreds of investigations. People have actually watched our videos. That white noise, that it could be super annoying. Mm-hmm. And it also makes it very difficult to hear and identify any of the words that you're actually capturing.
Yeah, that's what makes it one of my favorite, because you can clearly, distinctly hear the words. You
the
ask
voice,
a question, the voice comes over. I enjoy it.
And honestly, like one of mine, and you guys are all gonna know this, and when it comes to my favorite tool or piece of equipment, it's the K2. It's very basic, but to me, it has brought a lot of validation. You can go into any house that has any type of electrical work or any electricity running through it, and sure, put it to an outlet, it's gonna go off. That's what it's supposed to do. It's an EMF reader. But we have been to places where there are no hot wires. We have been to places where nothing of any type of electricity is running through any of the walls, the ground, the ceiling, and we have actually captured spikes on that K2 meter. And we also have captured evidence and responses from that piece of equipment.
And the amazing thing about that piece of equipment is it has different color-coded lights for each level of energy that will hit it. So sometimes we'll ask it to light up to level orange. Mm-hmm. Boom. Sometimes we ask it to light up level red. Boom.
That is a very crucial part to scientifically proving if that piece of equipment is malfunctioning or if it's actually scientifically proving there is something there that we just can't see.
What do I think about most paranormal TV shows? For me, Ghost Hunters come out, I thought it was pretty darn good. But now is more coming out. I think it's more over dramatized and more hyped up than it really is when you're actually out there in the field doing this stuff.
I mean, honestly, like, to go off a little bit what he said, the problem with a lot of these shows and even things on YouTube, for a group like us, we're here to do the right thing. We're here to really prove without a doubt we don't have anybody scripting. We don't have anybody telling us what to do. We're here to prove and to help without a scientific doubt that there is an actual afterlife. The problem is you have so many different groups out there. It's trying to navigate through who is real and who is fake. And I'm sorry, we know exactly what we're looking for. We know exactly what to look for. The things that we have been seeing, it's not fair for teams and groups like us that are really trying to show the world that there really is something actually beyond this realm.
I don't really have an opinion on the TV shows, on the YouTube channels. My kids watch them. Like you said, a lot of it's hyped up, a lot of it's merged together of it happens, and it's not real. There is a lot of downtime. So I'm grateful for all the people out there that are interested in paranormal.
But
I think it's great. Yeah. I enjoy doing it. I know you guys enjoy doing it.
Just know that through all that, there is real stuff. It's not all fake. And I mean, the reality of it is some things are going to be falsified, but understand that not every group, every person's out there to falsify things. It's just not always what the platform makes it be. So hopefully you guys can have an open mind to that and understand that there is real paranormal.
And if anybody is out there interested in forming their own group, it takes a lot of patience to do this, and it wears you down.
Yes.
What is my most scariest experience of all? I believe it was at the Brush Creek Inn. The energy downstairs in the basement is so negative and so powerful. We were down there, him and I, Josh, we were running a ghost box session. We believe, we don't know, we came in contact with a spirit named Ken, who does not like females. After 2 hours, we were in provoke mode. Something literally came up and shoved me right in the back, and I had a bruise on it, and that scared the living hell out of me. So the second time we were there, I was scratched on the shoulder, and I had welts left on my back. And we don't know if it was evil or possibly demonic, but the energy level down here is so negative, it's crazy. We're going to be releasing our new video coming out on July 29th from the Brush Creek Inn investigation. Pay attention and watch, like, subscribe, please.
The most scariest experience that I ever had was a residential we did about 2 years ago. We consider it to be the Lincoln attachment. Nicole and I went to this home and we went off of claims that they told us over the phone. Well, when we got there, let's just say the claims were completely different. So when we pulled up to this house, we literally walked into the front door to this person convulsing. For privacy purposes, we're not going to say her name. So we immediately set out equipment, placed it by her. Anywhere that she was present by the equipment, it would go off. But even crazier, her license literally levitated off the coffee table. At that point in time, we were frantic. We didn't know what was going on. We were scared that what we were about to be indulging in was a possession. We are not equipped for a possession. We come to find out, thankfully, it wasn't that. It was an attachment. But let me tell you, it was the most terrifying attachment that we have ever dealt with.
My most scariest experience. So it would have to be Hillview Manor. It was one of my first investigations as a team member. I went in, it was a creepy vibe all throughout the building, and we actually got to go outside. We were one of the first teams to go outside into what they called the bunker. And in the bunker, I couldn't really even stay in there. The energy levels were very off for me. It was a very different feeling I'd never felt before. So after leaving the bunker, that was one of our last stops for the night. We went back, we packed up, we all said our prayers, saged, we left, we went our separate directions. For the next 2 weeks after the investigation, I kept looking over my shoulder. I kept feeling like something was watching me. I kept hearing things. Didn't want to be alone in my own house. It was a very eerie feeling. The guys then came forward and started helping me as I told them, I believe something is attached to me. I believe there's something around me. I don't want to do anything. I am just in a foul mood all the time. They worked for hours and they did end up getting the attachment off of me, but it was definitely one of the most scariest experiences of my life.
So those were some of the most common questions that we have been asked. We'd like to do another video in the future. If you have any more questions, please drop them in our comment section. Please like and subscribe to our videos.
As always, we'll see you guys in the next one.
It is the bed. Oh my God, it's the bed, and that's going off.
You alright? Mm-hmm. Telling you right now, the vibe in this room is like upside down.
There it is.
Holy shit, yes!